welcome. Today we will be discussing scrying. So, to scry means to see something unclear or distant by looking carefully. Scry has a narrower meaning, to use divination to learn hidden events or the future, especially by gazing into a crystal ball or water. Scry was obsolete by the 16th century, but it was revived in the 19th century by Andrew Lang, 1844, 1912. 1. Subconscious activation and free association. How it works. Scrying taps into the subconscious mind, allowing buried memories, emotions, or thoughts to surface. The repetitive, unfocused gazing into a reflective surface induces a relaxed, meditative state, similar to hypnosis or daydreaming. This state reduces conscious filtering, enabling free association, where random thoughts, images, or symbols emerge without logical constraints. Psychological basis. This aligns with Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious and archetypes, where universal symbols, like birds or light, and personal memories, like the dead space helmet, can manifest. It also mirrors the Freudian idea of the subconscious revealing repressed or forgotten experiences, such as your distant memory of the game's luminous visor. Your experience. The luminous bird shapes you saw likely emerged from your subconscious, blending your long-term memory of the Dead Space helmet's light with the natural imagery of birds. The dark, meditative environment of scrying lowered your conscious barriers, allowing these connections to surface. 2. Pattern recognition and pareidolia. How it works. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns, even in ambiguous or random stimuli, a phenomenon known as pareidolia, e.g., seeing faces in clouds or shapes in static. When scrying, the reflective, often dark surface of an obsidian mirror can create abstract visual noise or light reflections, which your brain interprets as meaningful images, like birds or glowing shapes. Psychological basis. This is rooted in evolutionary psychology. Pattern recognition helped early humans identify threats or opportunities in their environment. In scrying, your brain might have interpreted the luminous, curved reflections in the mirror as birds, while the light's quality triggered a memory of the Dead Space helmet's glowing visor. Your experience. The glowing bird shapes you perceived could result from pareidolia, where the mirror's reflections or your eye's natural responses to darkness, e.g. after images or light sensitivity, formed patterns your brain shaped into birds. The light's resemblance to the helmet's visor might have been a secondary association, driven by pattern recognition linking to a stored memory. 3. Altered states of consciousness. How it works. Scrying often induces an altered state of consciousness, similar to meditation, trance, or hypnagogia, the state between wakefulness and sleep. The dim lighting, repetitive gazing, and focus on a single point relax the brain, reducing beta waves associated with active thinking and increasing alpha or theta waves linked to relaxation and creativity. This state enhances imagination and intuition, making visions more likely. Psychological basis. Neuroscientists suggest this shift activates the default mode network, DMN, the brain's daydreaming network, which is active during introspection, memory recall, and creative thought. This network could explain why your vision combined birds, a universal symbol, with the Dead Space helmet's light, a personal memory, your experience. The dark room and obsidian mirror likely induced this altered state, allowing your mind to generate the luminous bird shapes and connect them to the helmet's light through subconscious memory. The meditative focus might have amplified the vividness and symbolic nature of the vision. 4. Suggestion and expectation. How it works. Your expectations or prior knowledge can shape what you see during scrying. If you've heard of scrying producing visions of animals, symbols, or lights, your brain might be primed to find those images. Similarly, cultural or personal associations, like your memory of Dead Space, can influence the interpretation of ambiguous shapes. Psychological basis. This relates to the placebo effect and confirmation bias, where your mind seeks patterns or meanings that align with your beliefs or experiences. It's also tied to the ideomotor effect, where subtle, unconscious movements or thoughts guide perception. Your experience. Even though you hadn't actively thought about Dead Space recently, your passive exposure, e.g., Steam sales, and distant memory of the game's luminous visor could have primed you to associate the glowing bird shapes with that light. Your expectation of seeing meaningful images during scrying might have encouraged your brain to interpret the luminous birds, with the helmet's light as a secondary comparison. 5. Emotional and symbolic processing. How it works. Scrying often evokes emotional or symbolic responses, as the brain processes the visions through personal and cultural lenses. The images you see can reflect your current emotional state, unresolved issues, or aspirations, often manifesting as archetypes or symbols, e.g., birds for freedom, light for insight. Psychological basis. Jung's theory of archetypes suggests that universal symbols emerge from the collective unconscious, while personal symbols arise from individual experiences. The luminous quality of your vision might symbolize clarity or revelation, while the birds could represent freedom or spirituality, tailored to your unique context. Your experience. The 3 luminous birds might symbolize a desire for freedom, a spiritual message, or a resolution of past experiences, like your gaming memory. The light's connection to the Dead Space helmet could reflect a subconscious integration of technology, protection, or nostalgia, woven into the vision's broader meaning. 6. Neurobiological factors. How it works. Scrying can stimulate the visual cortex and other brain regions involved in imagination and perception. The lack of external stimulation in a dark room, combined with prolonged gazing, can lead to phosphenes, internal light patterns, or hallucinations, which your brain interprets as meaningful images. Dopamine and serotonin levels, influenced by the relaxed state, might enhance creativity and vision intensity. Psychological basis. Studies on sensory deprivation and meditation show that reduced external input heightens internal imagery. The brain compensates for the lack of visual stimuli by generating its own, often drawing on memory and imagination. Your experience. The dark, quiet environment of your scrying session likely triggered phosphenes or internal light patterns, which your brain shaped into the luminous bird shapes. The memory of the Dead Space helmet's light could have been overlaid onto these patterns, creating the association you described. Integration with your experience. In your scrying session, these psychological mechanisms likely work together. The obsidian mirror's dark, reflective surface, combined with the meditative state, activated your subconscious, leading to the vision of 3 luminous birds. Your brain's pattern recognition and pareidolia interpreted the glowing, curved reflections as birds, while the light's segmented quality, perhaps due to the mirror's properties or your perception, reminded you of the Dead Space helmet's 3 glowing visor strips, a memory from over 15 years ago. Your expectations of scrying, along with your personal history and passive exposure to Dead Space, shaped the interpretation, blending universal symbols, birds, light, with personal memories. The helmet's light, the altered state of consciousness, enhanced the vividness and symbolic richness of the vision, making the birds appear as profound, luminous forms against the void. Conclusion. The psychological mechanisms of scrying involve an interplay of subconscious activation, pattern recognition, altered states of consciousness, suggestion, emotional processing, and neurobiological responses. In your case, these factors combine to produce the vision of 3 luminous bird shapes, with the light's quality triggering a memory of the Dead Space helmet's visor. This experience reflects both universal human tendencies, seeing patterns, seeking meaning, and your unique personal history, making it a deeply individual yet archetypal phenomenon. If you'd like, I can explore specific aspects further, such as the neuroscience of altered states, the role of archetypes in scrying, or how personal memories shape visions. Does this explanation resonate with you, or is there another angle you'd like to pursue?